Hi, I'm Father Michael Orsi. I am your host for Action for Life Television, that good news program, which brings you the big G for the gospel of Jesus Christ and the little g, all the good things that people do to put that gospel of life into action. Hey, gang, over the years, we've been having what's called a Blue Mass and a Mass for first responders at St. Agnes's Church in Naples. What's a Blue Mass? Mass for first responders? Well, it's a Mass where we kind of honor and pray for those people who are active, people of action, to protect our lives. Police, Blue Mass comes from the police uniform. Used to be blue uniform, some places still is. Fire and EMS, those people who rescue us when we are in trouble, whether it be fire or some kind of an illness that strikes us and we need help. We have this Mass to show them that they are people who are doing God's work and how much we appreciate it and that we want God to continue to help them. Today we were especially honored to have Governor Ron DeSantis of the great state of Florida present in church to show his appreciation to our first responders, the police, the fire, and EMS.
Welcome to St. Agnes. I'm Father Bob Cantor, pastor here at St. Agnes, and the Dean of the Southern Deanery of the Diocese of Venice, also the State Chaplain for the Knights of Columbus. And we're so pleased to be led in not only by the bagpipe, but by Rolling Thunder, by Knights on Bikes, by the Knights of Columbus, Color Corps, as well as the Columbiettes Honor Guard who are here today. On behalf of Bishop Frank Duane, I welcome you to this Blue Mass in recognition of law enforcement, firefighters, and first responders, active and retired, and in remembrance of the deceased, particularly those who lost their lives in the line of duty. We're blessed to have with us some very distinguished elected officials, Brother Knight of Columbus and Governor of the great state of Florida, Ron DeSantis, and the First Lady. And our First Lady, Casey DeSantis, and their two beautiful children, Madison and Mason. State Senator and Senate Majority Leader Kathleen Passidomo is with us here this morning. State Representative Lauren Mello. Our county commissioners, Rick LaCastro, Dan Kowal, Chris Hall, and Bert Saunders. We're blessed too to have, representing the leadership of the fine men and women who are here, for whom we're praying today, Collier County Sheriff Kevin Rambosk. And Greater Naples Fire Rescue District 4 Commissioner Patrick Dearborn. On celebrating our Mass today are some priests from the area, Father David Vidal, pastor of Ave Maria Parish, Father Tim Navin, pastor of San Marco Parish on Marco Island, Monsignor Frank McGrath, the chaplain of the Ave Maria School of Law, Father Kevin Donovan, our homilist today, and the chaplain to the Connecticut State Police and Connecticut Firefighters Association. Serving as our MC today, Father Chris Pietrowski, who serves here at St. Agnes. And I'm most grateful to our celebrant today, my brother priest here at St. Agnes, Father Michael Orsi, who is the motivating force behind our Blue Mass.
In those days, the Spirit from on high will be poured out on us. Then will the desert become an orchard, and the orchard be regarded as a forest. Right will dwell in the desert, and justice abide in the orchard. Justice will bring about peace. Right will produce calm and security. My people will live in peaceful country, in secure dwellings, and quiet resting places. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Philippians. Brothers and sisters, have no anxiety at all, but in everything, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, make your requests known to God. Then the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is gracious, if there is any excellence, and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Keep on doing what you have learned and received and heard and seen in me. Then God of peace will be with you. The word of the Lord.
All right, Governor. Governor, right here, Governor. There you go. All right. Thanks, Governor.
All right, today we're celebrating our annual Blue Mass and Mass for First Responders. We have with us today the Commissioner for the Fire Department here in Greater Naples, Patrick Dearborn. Commissioner, what do you think this is so important to celebrate this Mass for first responders?
Great question. Well, first of all, Father Orsi, Thank you to St. Agnes and everybody putting this on. It tells the community that down here in Collier County in Southwest Florida, Blue Lives Matter, our cops matter, our firefighters matter, our EMS matters. We're in the house of the Lord. What could be better than to celebrate Mass on a Saturday morning?
You're the best, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
God bless you.
God bless you.
I must begin my homily this morning first with a word of gratitude. Gratitude to the parish here, Father Michael, for inviting me to be with you this morning. I still don't know how he found out about me up there in New England. But I'm certainly very grateful for this invitation and this opportunity. And because my resume is in the worship aid, I'm not going to tell you about myself because it's already there. But I will certainly refer to that in my homily this morning. I would also like, at the beginning, to express my gratitude to the first responders who are here today, those of you who are active first responders, and those of you who are retired, many police officers here this morning, firefighters, EMS personnel, and the oft forgotten telecommunicators, commonly known as dispatchers, who are, in a sense, maybe the first of the first responders, because they take the phone calls, the 911 calls that come into our dispatch centers, our police or fire dispatch centers, and it is the telecommunicators who then obviously dispatch us to wherever the incident is. And, you know, we think of them, we call them dispatchers, but telecommunicators do so much more than that, and they are the first line. And how many telecommunicators, how many dispatchers have walked a person or a child even through an incident, or walked someone through giving birth, or helping a woman give birth at the other end of the telephone. So we cannot forget the telecommunicators. I'd also like to thank my brother priests who are here, some of whom are fire chaplains, and those of us who are involved in public safety, as public safety chaplains. We know what it's like to be in that role, to support the men and women who serve us in public safety, and as well the general public. I'm not really sure when or how the title first responder came about. I don't remember in my over 30 years of being a first responder, I don't really remember if it was even used 30 years ago. I'm sure some of you who are here today have the answer to that question. When did that term come about? When did we first start referring to ourselves as first responders? I think it's also necessary for me at this point to say that I'm not really sure that I qualify any longer for that title as first responder. The older I get and the slower I am, I think I may be a second responder. I'll be 62 in April, and I know why my grandfather, who was a paid fireman in Waterbury, Connecticut, he began in 1916, I know why he retired when he was 55. In fact, I just gave up being an interior firefighter last year. I just could no longer do that. And I said my chief said to me, we think you should give that up. How do you feel? I said, not a problem, chief. I don't want to injure myself, and I certainly don't want to injure someone else. I'm no longer rushing, as some of you will appreciate this. I'm no longer like the little old lady from Pasadena, going as fast as possible to get to the firehouse or to an incident. I'm more like that little Nash Rambler that the Playmates sang about. I cannot do it. I know there are men and women my age who are involved in as first responders, and indeed they have far more energy than I do, and God bless them for what they're able still to do. So I'm a driver at this point, and of course respond to many situations, some just in the last 6 months they needed me as a chaplain more than as a firefighter. So as I look at that title that is applied to us as first responders, I wanted to know, what does it mean to respond to something? What is the origin, the etymology of the word respond? It's really quite simple. Well, I'll share with you what's quite simple, but in fact it does go back. It goes into Latin, and then before Latin it goes into like Middle English and Old French, and there's all sorts of, you could read pages on pages in Google about it. But the important things are re, from the Latin, which means again. And the second part, spondere, from the Latin to pledge, or to give assurance, or to confirm. So to respond is to pledge again, or to give assurance again. You and I, who are indeed first responders, when those tones drop or that dispatch is made, you and I are called to respond, to pledge again with our lives sometimes, or at least to pledge again with our training, to do what we have been trained to do in whatever capacity that may be, as a police officer, as a firefighter, as an EMS personnel, or as a telecommunicator. We immediately respond. We pledge ourselves again, not consciously, of course, but in our actions, we pledge ourselves that we will do what we have been trained to do. We once again give our oath to the safety, security, well-being of people, to the protection of lives and property of the people whom we have been called to serve. And it doesn't matter what kind of incident that call may be. It may be simply going to a retirement facility to remind an elderly person not to walk away from the toast in the toaster, which we had done also the day before. Or it might be something like getting up in the middle of the night to go to a house where the CO detector is going off and the folks don't know how to deal with it. And getting there and having them say, you know, it's been going off since yesterday morning. But of course, they waited until 3 o'clock in the morning to call in. I once had a parishioner have that experience when I was in Avon, Connecticut. There she was at 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting on the edge of her bed in her nightgown and robe, with the toilet paper around her hair, like my mother used to wear. She was, to say the least, startled when this firefighter called her by name. She was mortified when she realized it was her priest. Don't wait until 3 o'clock in the morning to have your CO detector attended to. It could be something much worse. It could be 2 police officers gunned down in a domestic dispute, as we had last year in Bristol, Connecticut. Or it could be a mass casualty incident. It doesn't matter whether the incident is a nuisance call or indeed truly a terrible experience that requires all sorts of first responders and all of our efforts and all of our expertise and our training. It doesn't matter. When we respond, we recall that pledge we made on the day we took our oath. My brothers and sisters, today, and any day, but certainly today, thank a first responder. Thank someone you know, or even better, thank someone you don't know. And tell that person, express to that person how much you appreciate his or her work and how much you value and treasure his or her life's work.
As you can imagine, producing this wonderful program, Action for Life, it costs a great deal of money. We're going to need your help. So if you would like to donate to keep this good news program on the air, please go to your computer, your cell phone, actionforlife.net. Thought for the day. Our country is going through a tumultuous time. Many people are questioning the very foundations upon which this country has been built. One of the foundations that people are often forgetting is that this country was built on biblical principles, on justice and righteousness, and also upon charity. So much so that our founders had engraved on top of the rotunda of our Capitol in Washington the words of the prophet Micah. Remember, man, do what is right, love justice, and walk humbly with your God. Hey gang, I know a lot of you sometimes can't watch all of our episodes of Action for Life. However, we have a solution for that. All you have to do is go to YouTube and search for Action for Life Florida. And you can catch up on all the shows, and guess what? Extra added bonus, you get to hear my weekly homily. So, YouTube and you make a fine couple. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed today's program of the Blue Mass and Mass for First Responders. You know that the people that we recognize today, they are all people of action. I'm for action. They're certainly for action. And I know you are too. We would like to thank our generous sponsors for their wonderful support. Thanks for watching. Please join us next time for Action for Life. I'm for action, and I hope you are too. I'm Father Michael Orsi. I am your host for Action for Life Television, that good news program which talks about the gospel of Jesus Christ, the big G, and the little g, all the good things that people are doing to put the gospel of life into action. So please join us for the next episode of Action for Life.